And Assalamu alaikum 6th class. How are you students? Hope so you all are fine. Today is the Wednesday 23rd December 2020. Let's start our work with the name of Allah. Student, we have completed our final term syllabus. Now we will revise our first chapter, that is cell. To describe the cell, first of all, let me explain that we have two types of things, that is living things and non-living things. Students, living and non-living things are present in our environment. Cell is the basic component of all living things. Cell is the basic component of all living things. In living organism, cell is present. Without the existence of cell, the life cannot be exist. So, cell are basically the building block of all living organism. Students, now it's the introduction of the cell. Now I will explain you about the discovery of the cell. Who discovered the cell? Student, Robert Hooke was the English scientist who discovered the cell. Robert Hooke discovered the cell when he was observing the thin slice of plant through microscope. While he was observing the thin slice of plant through the microscope, he observed that a box-like shaped material is present, which he called that it is a cell. So, cell is present in all living organisms. Student, now let us move to the another topic, that is shape of the cell. What is the shape of the cell? Students, shapes vary from location to location where the cell is present. Cells are of various shapes, that is, cell might be round, spherical, or it may be elongated, concave shaped cells. Let me give two examples related to the shape of the cell. For example, nerve cell, which is present in our nervous system, that is brain and the spinal cord. The shape of the nerve cell is long and branched, while next take example is red blood cell. RBCs, which are present in our blood, are of spherical and concave shape. So the shape of the cell is not fixed, or it may be vary from a location to location. Next, move to the next topic, that is the size of the cell. What is the size of the cell? Students, size of the cell also vary from body to body or from tissue to tissue. These cells are very small, that cannot be seen with our naked eye. Cells are tiny structures that can only be seen with the help of microscope. Without microscope, no one can see the cell, as Robert Hooke also observed the cell with the help of microscope, seen with the microscope. Student, now let me explain the smallest and the largest cell that is present. First is smallest cell. The size of the smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer. which is present in a bacteria. This is the cell of bacteria with the size of 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer. And the largest cell is present in the ostrich egg, which, which is of size 170 millimeter to 130 millimeter and is present in the ostrich egg. So this is the basic introduction of the cell. Student, now let me explain the definition of the cell. What is cell? The definition of cell is the smallest part of all living things which is fully alive is called cell. Student, cell is the basic unit of all living things. Now let us discuss about the types of organism depending on the cell. We have a subheading that is type of organisms depending on the cell. Students, we have two types of organism, that is unicellular organism and multicellular organism. As the name indicates, uni means one. So the organism consisting of one cell is known as unicellular organisms, and multi means many. So organism consisting of many cells are known as multicellular organism. Let me explain you the example of unicellular organism. The examples of unicellular organism includes paramecium. The body of paramecium consists of a single cell. Similarly, euglena. Euglena is also a unicellular organism. And another example is amoeba and desmid or bacteria. These all example of unicellular organisms. Now what is multicellular organism? The example of multicellular organism are human beings, plant cell. Plant cell is also an example of multicellular organism. So here I have explained you about the definition of the cell. The definition of the cell is the smallest part of all living things which is fully alive. Cell is basic unit of all living organisms. Then I have explained you about the types of organism depending on the number of cells. So we have two types of organisms, that are unicellular organism and multicellular organism. Uni mean one, the organism consisting of a single cell, and that cell will carry out all the functions of the cell. So those organisms are known as unicellular organism. Examples are paramecium, euglena, amoeba, and etc. And those organisms consisting of many cells, and there is a division of labor among these cells, these are known as multicellular organism. Every cell in multicellular organism performs specific function. For example, human beings, plant cell. Student, now let me explain the structure of an animal cell. Our next topic in this chapter is animal cell. Student, animal cell is an example of eukaryotic cell. Here I have drawn a simplex structure of an animal cell. In animal cell, the outermost membrane which surrounds the cell is known as cell membrane. The structure present in the center of the cell is known as nucleus, which carry out all the functions of the cell. Here, the jelly-like substance present in the cell is known as cytoplasm. The material is known as vacuole, and here ribosomes. So now let me explain one by one the function of all these structures. First of all, nucleus. Nucleus is known as control center of the cell. Because it controls all the activity, all the chemical reaction that take place in the cell. Chromosomes are found in the nucleus. I will explain you the chromosome later. Next structure is known as cell membrane. Student, cell membrane is the thin, partially permeable layer which control all the movement of materials in and out of the cell. So we will say cell membrane control movement. Being partially permeable, it allows only certain materials to pass through it but not others. Next structure is cytoplasm. Student, it is a jelly-like substance that is present inside the cell. It contains many tiny structures. All these structures are present in the cytoplasm of animal cell. Chemical reaction take place in the cytoplasm. The function of cytoplasm is that it carry out chemical reactions which take place inside the cell. Here, these new substances are made with energy being released or stored. The cytoplasm almost fills the cell. Next structure is vacuole. Student, vacuole are small and numerous in animal cell. Vacuole in animal cells are tiny spaces containing air, liquid or food particle. It stores food. The function of vacuole is that it stores the food. And in animal cell there are small and numerous vacuoles, where the number of vacuoles are large in animal cell. Next is ribosome. Here the ribosomes are present whose function is to make the protein. So the ribosomes are the protein manufacturer. Here I am giving you the function of these organelles, that is nucleus. It controls all the chemical reaction that take place in the cell, and nucleus is known as control center of the cell. Just as our brain control all the activity of our body, here nucleus control all the activities. Then here is the cell membrane. Cell membrane is the outermost covering that protects the cell and control the movement of the cell. Cell membrane also maintain the shape of the cell. Next is ribosome. In our cell, proteins are manufactured with the help of ribosomes. Next is vacuole. Vacuole store food and oil droplets in the cell. Next is the cytoplasm. All the chemical reaction take place in the cytoplasm, and this is known as cell sap of the cell. Student, beside these structures, many other structures are also present in the inside the cells. For example, Golgi apparatus and many more. You have to learn only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structures of the cell. 6th class, now open your books, that is Lower Secondary Science 1. We have started our chapter, that is chapter number 15, cell. Page numbers 171. Student, here the diagram of a cell of a plant and cell of a honeycomb has been shown to represent the structure of the cell. Here the structure of cell is just like a box like, which is explained by Robert Hooke. Next page. Onion cells from the piece of thin onion skin. Onion mean pyaz. Student, if we cut a slice of an onion and then observe it under the microscope, onion cell will be look like this one. Next is human cheek cell. Here the heading of cell is written, that is, cell is the basic unit of living matter. I have explained you in my previous video. Student, now move to the next topic of the chapter, that is unicellular and multicellular organisms. Students, as the name indicates, unicellular means that organism which consists of a single cell, and that single cell will carry out all the functions of the cell. Next is multicellular organism. Multi mean many. Those organisms which consist of many cells are known as multicellular organism. Here are some examples of unicellular organism, for that is Paramecium, Euglena, Desmid, Amoeba. Then the example of multicellular is human beings, as human beings contains billions of cells. Student, now move to the next topic, inside the cell. Here first of all animal cell. Today's our topic is animal cell. Students, here the structure of animal cell has been drawn. The nucleus in the center, vacuole, cell membrane, cytoplasm. These are the organelles found in the animal cell. Students, your classwork is to draw the structure of animal cell on computer pages and then paste that computer pages on your copies. Now next, turn the page. Here the properties and functions of main parts of an animal cell are given. This is your homework. Write down the question, that is, state the properties and function of main parts of an animal cell. The answer of that question is as under. Number first is nucleus. Student, nucleus control all the chemical reaction that take place in the cell. Hence, it is also known as control center of the cell. Chromosomes are found in the nucleus. Next is chromosome. Chromosomes are thread-like structure that store chemical instruction needed to build the cell. Student, chromosomes are needed to transfer the information onto the generation. They control the functions of the various organisms and pass down from one generation to another. They are responsible for the inherited characteristic of an organism. Next is cytoplasm. It is a jelly-like substance that contains many tiny structures. Chemical reactions take place in the cytoplasm where new substances are made with energy being released or stored. The cytoplasm almost fills the cell. Next structure is vacuoles. As I have explained you that vacuole contain tiny spaces of air, liquid or food particle found in the cytoplasm. These vacuoles are small and numerous. Student, in animal there are many vacuoles present in the cell. Next, last one is cell membrane. It is a thin, partially permeable layer which controls the movement of materials in and out of the cell. Student, cell membrane is the outermost layer which controls the movement of material. It also gives the shape to the cell. Being partially permeable, it only allows certain material to pass through it but not others. So these are the basic structures, organelles found in the animal cell. You have to write it as a homework on your copies.